Welcome to Psychic Talk with Jay and Sara. I'm your host, Sara Green.
I'm Jay.
And this is Jay. And today we're in for a special treat because we've invited our very first guest onto the show. Crista is a dear friend of ours, and she's been a part of our Empath group for over 5 years. And I doubt she's missed more than 1 or 2 weekly meetings through the years. And at every meeting, Crista is open, down to earth, self-aware, full of good humor, and always willing to support other people who need her light. And among her many gifts and talents as an empath, the one that stands out the most is her ability to communicate with animals. Welcome, Crista.
Thank you.
Hi,
I didn't
Crista.
realize I was your first guest. That's awesome.
You
I'm
are our
honored.
first guest. Yeah. I know we've been talking about having a guest on the podcast for months now. And finally, we've made it happen. And I know we had some technical difficulties before you came on. And I appreciate that you've been patient with us.
No problem. No problem at all.
So I remember meeting you for the first time, Crista. I remember it so well, too. We were doing a Facebook Live, doing tarot readings. And it was when we first started out, really, actually. And you had a question. I can almost see the question written down. And I remember feeling this really, really good energy from you. And I think we recommended that you join our empath group. And you did. And so it was just soon after that you came to the meetings, and it was like we knew you. You know, it was just so familiar and so awesome. And like I said, you've been there every single week. So it's like, I think we see you more than we probably see some of our own family and friends.
Yes, I feel the same way. About you guys. Yeah.
Well,
we are a little family.
Yeah. Actually, our empath group is like a family.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that too. I had just basically started my spiritual awakening and just learning what the word empath even meant, and was that, did I identify with that or not? And so I had started doing some research and found you guys, and I remember my question as well. And I said something like, when am I going to, be more connected with spirit or something like that? And the answer was, well, like, you're doing it now. Like now,
Yes.
it's happening now. The fact that you're even asking this question means that it's happening now. And it's funny because even asking that question just showed how new everything was to me, because now I would know that answer. I know that answer. It's happening. It's deepening every single day, So yeah, but I remember feeling like, oh my God, they're answering my questions. They're like, it felt like celebrities or something. and then I came to the group and I was like, it's really them. Oh my gosh, and definitely,
so funny.
Definitely felt the connection, and immediately felt like the support and the unconditional love and understanding immediately from both of you. And the connection's only deepened, since 5 years. I mean,
it sure has.
It's been incredible.
It sure has.
It's so helpful. Yeah. So helpful. Yeah. Changed my life.
I remember you
completely.
I remember you had said that you were going through a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And it's so common for people to, have an awakening and then be like, holy crap, I need to talk to other people about this. Are they going through the same thing? And so it was really good timing for you too. Yeah. And it was really at the beginning of our Zoom meetings too. I mean, we had the support group running, but then COVID hit and, we went on Zoom, and I think it was right at the beginning. So you've been with us all along.
Yeah. 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 It's been great. And there are quite a few people too who have also been there the whole time, or maybe a little bit later, maybe like a little bit later than me, but the people, they just keep coming back because they feel the support of them. So.
And Crista, you've been instrumental in inviting people too. I mean, it's just been such a wonderful journey for all of us, because we all have very unique gifts, and together it really creates a wonderful support system. And that leads us to really want to delve into your gifts and your abilities, and share some of these things with whoever's listening. Um, when we talk about animal communication and psychic awareness, um, do you want
So,
to?
well, I mean, my first question for you would be, what does being an animal intuitive or an animal
Mm,
communicator mean to you?
mm,
Like, how would you describe that to another person?
Well, I mean, I have been working with animals for 22 years, so that started before I even knew that I
mm,
was, an animal
mm,
empath. So it kind of all makes sense now. I'm much
mm.
more in tune with animals. I mean, I'm in tune and an empath with people as well.
Yeah.
But with animals, it's like I can uh, I can just feel or know about the animal immediately before
Mm,
knowing. Even a phone conversation with a person, I can know,
mm,
what. Very rarely that I'm surprised about animals' behavior when they come in. For right now, I'm a
mm,
full-time dog groomer, so. Um, but over the years, even medical stuff, I was a vet tech,
mm,
and being a tech, telling the vet, hey, listen, I think you should look at this. And the veterinarian
Wow.
being like, oh, really? But I mean, I've been right a lot of times. So there's the aspect of the medical part or the grooming part, but then there's the healing part where um, helping people to understand their relationship with their animals, why their animals are doing what they're doing, and not just from a um, animal behavior, in this material world,
mm,
more on the spiritual connection, why your animal's acting like that, what they're trying to teach you by acting like that,
mm,
and
mm,
intuitively knowing, because when you know what the animal is doing, it actually makes me understand more about the human too and what they're going through.
mm,
So it's all
mm.
connected.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
That's
intense.
it
rich.
is.
That's yeah. That's
So, being an animal communicator, there's like a spectrum of things that you're going to find out about
mm,
that pet, right?
mm,
So, it's like you said, health things, and also their relationship to the owner,
mm,
and what is going on with the pet, mentally or spiritually even.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, a lot more complex than anyone would ever imagine it to be,
mm,
right? Because most people who have pets would just think, or I have a dog. Okay, so she's hungry. She needs to go
Yeah.
outside. She's tired. And what else is there?
mm,
That's like your average person probably doesn't think that a dog has anything else to say
Right.
except, right? So
Yes.
what you're saying is animals are far more intelligent than people realize.
Yeah, I mean their souls are already aligned with unconditional love. They have mastered
Mm.
that. So anything they're doing, even if it's making you feel upset or triggered or in any kind of way, whether you're frustrated with them or you're upset because they're going through a health issue, I've one of the biggest things I've noticed that animals are helping their humans with. If I
mm.
could show you my dogs right now, they're hilarious. My one dog is on his back like this, like just like this.
Your dogs are part of our empath group
Yes, they
too, by the way.
are.
They're always
They're
with
always there.
Krista.
Yeah, they like the attention too. But so one thing I learned is, and I went through this lesson myself with my animals, is their guilt, because a lot of human beings will do anything to avoid feeling guilty, right?
Mm,
But that means that we are not respecting our boundaries, and we are allowing other people to cross our boundaries, and we're doing things that we don't really want to do because we don't
mm,
want to experience the feeling of guilt.
Mm.
So people feel guilty about having their dogs because they're not walking them enough, or people think, oh, They're not feeding them the right food. They feel guilty so much about their pets. Who their pets are totally happy and fine, but they're just feeling all this guilt, right, about whatever it is. Our pets don't want us to feel guilty in our relationship with them, but what they want is to trigger the feeling of guilt so that we can work on that within ourselves, and that can boil over into our relationships with humans. And doing what's best for yourself and being able to tolerate that feeling of guilt is a huge lesson that our animals are teaching us. I mean, that's something I see over and over and over again. And
so we feel guilty about not doing enough for our pets, and the pets want us to work on that guilt. Like, we shouldn't feel guilty about that, but what is the root cause of that guilt? In other
where
words,
else
is
is
what
guilt
they're
coming
trying
up?
to teach.
Where else is it coming up in your
Okay.
life? Yeah, that's really where they want us to work on it. So if we can work on accepting that maybe the dog doesn't get enough walks as we think it needs. If we can work on the guilt there, then that can help us to work on the guilt of maybe not doing as much for somebody else who is crossing our boundaries and being able to
That's
tolerate.
powerful.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
That's just one example,
It
but
does.
that theme comes up a
It's
lot. Yeah.
so it sounds like you see animals as teachers.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest lesson they're trying to teach us might be?
They want us to love ourselves unconditionally.
I was thinking that in my mind.
Yeah, that's what they've mastered.
Wow.
That's why they show us so much love. They like unconditional love. No matter what, no matter if they get their walk or not, they're still gonna love us, no matter what.
Oh, it's so true.
And they also know how to kind of manipulate us and poke at us and do all those things, but that's all on purpose. None of that is an accident, and that's not coming from necessarily the dog's physical presence and their awareness as a dog. That's coming from their higher self. What they're doing, and they're way more connected to their higher selves than we are, because they don't have to deal with the ego, and so they are very, very guided by their higher selves. They know exactly what they're doing.
I have a question, Krista. I often wonder, I've heard people say that their cat or whatnot, would heal them or help them heal. Would you find that animals could be in their life to help heal them energetically, or even maybe support them physically?
So if they're purring on your chest, they're vibrating the energy in your body, which is always good, right? Because we want to get things flowing and moving always. So if you're feeling if someone may be having a blockage or something like that, and whether it's medical, emotional, physical, whatever it is, the cat's sitting on you and they're purring. That purring vibration is going to move the energy. So that is any movement of energy is going to be healing, even if it feels a little icky at first.
I love that.
So absolutely, they're different from dogs, but they're especially more sensitive, and I think have more healing, not so much with their behavior, but with their energy. And dogs can be more like this behavior, that behavior, and wanting the owner to wanting they're human. I don't try not to use the word owner. I've been doing this a long time, trying to get out of that, because they're we don't really own our pets.
I
That's
know.
kind of a crazy thought. Like, we're their caretakers, and so are they for us. It's really an equal exchange, but obviously we have to feed them and nurture them in those ways that they can't do for themselves. But cats especially, it's more of a energetic thing, where dogs is more of a physical, material, behavioral thing that's going to then trigger something inside of you. They're wanting that trigger not to be in relation to them. They're wanting it to be in relation to ourselves.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Yeah.
And when I think about a cat purring on you, like, laying on your chest, I think you had said, or on your lap, it's like it raises your vibration, or that vibration. It's like you entrained to that frequency. And it's almost like sound therapy. If you think about singing bowls or tuning forks or something like that, you can think of a cat purring in the same manner. in the way you describe dogs, like jumping around, doing different things, bringing something out of us, whereas the cat is bringing something to us. That's
Yeah.
what a
Yeah.
nuance.
No,
It's a
I love that.
nuance.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like some cats will do the kneading, like a
Mm-hmm.
massage. That's an energy moving. That's an energy moving too. So I think it's important for anybody who might be listening and thinking, oh, I don't want my cat on my chest purring right now. And some cats do it more than others, and we are allowed to have boundaries around that as well. Of course, now is not a good time, but if our cat is sitting on us or kneading or purring on us somewhere, I think that we should let them, try to let them at least as much as you can tolerate. Some people are more sensitive than others or have a harder time with it, but I think a lot of times it's a sign that something needs to move, something's a little bit blocked, and let them do their work.
I love hearing this. It's so enlightening. And, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned when you were a vet tech that, you were enlightening the vet to look at something metaphysically or spiritually. And I liked hearing that because what you just said about the cat needing and working energy, I see you like a bridge to bridging together people that are in this field, like a vet. And wouldn't it be nice if vets were also sharing more enlightening aspects of the animal human relations?
Yeah, they're a
How do
little
the
closed off.
I was just going to say, I can't imagine that they would be that receptive, and I would love to hear that some
No.
are. Are
Yeah,
any
me too.
receptive?
Uh,
Not
I
so
haven't
much.
seen one. I haven't
Okay.
seen one. I have a hard time with veterinarians, yeah, because of that.
Mm.
And if you're a veterinarian and you're listening to this, I apologize. I'm sure that there are some out there. I know that there are some holistic vets out there, absolutely. And I just haven't been to one. I've had, even just in the past couple of weeks, a few experiences with veterinarians where they're just very science based, and they get in their routine. I've experienced it because I was a tech for 6 years, so I even know what it feels like to look at the owner and say, "What do you know? That's not the from a medical standpoint, that's not the right thing to do." But I recently had an experience where the veterinarian, it wasn't even my own pet, but the veterinarian wanted to do something that the dog owner was not agreeing with, and he was not there to advocate for himself. He was on the phone, and I was there physically in the office with the pet and with the vet, and I just knew that what the pet owner wanted was what the dog wanted, and when I knew that that was the right thing to do, and the veterinarian was like, "Do not advise this," and I knew the dog was passing, and we all knew the dog was passing, and the dog wanted to go home.
What I love about this, Crista, is that you advocated for the dog and the dog owner, and you went against what the veterinarian was recommending. Am I right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was doing what and the dog wanted to go home to die, and the veterinarians did not want that, and I was willing to do that for him, for the dog, and for the client, and it was hard for me. It was traumatic, but I just knew, and that it was the right thing, and to be able to advocate for the client against the veterinarian's wishes, and also for the dog's wishes, because I could feel it. There was no doubt in my mind. Like, even now, I'm just feeling it again. It was so intense.
Yeah.
And what I was going to have to do to make that happen was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot for a human being to have to do. And I was there was no doubt in my mind. I was willing to do it. I knew I had the skill. I knew I had the knowledge and everything that I needed, the capacity to do it, even though it was going to be extremely difficult emotionally for me. And I did it. And I was able to bring the dog home and call in the spirits and the guides and the angels and everything. And I lit a candle, and I had some Reiki music, and had a nice, beautiful salt lamp on. Lights were low. Things were calm. And unfortunately, the dog was going to pass either way. There was nothing that we could have done about it, and he wasn't suffering. It wasn't an injury or anything like that. I knew that he was not in pain and that he was not in suffering. I knew that he was not aware, and that his body was shutting down, and that the dog wanted. He also wanted me there. I know he did. I know that's why he picked me for pet sitting him that week. I know it.
Yeah.
When I met the dog, the look he gave me, this look, and I was like, that was a weird look. Like I hadn't,
like
I
a
was
no,
what was
like
that?
almost like a knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah, and I didn't know, I didn't know yet, but I was like, okay, something about this dog is, I live in Colorado Springs, and it was the most beautiful view of the Garden of the Gods where I lived. It's like this rock formation. Other weird energetic things happened to me that week. And I was like, okay, I'm too close to these rocks. Like, they're beautiful, but this energy is like, I need to attune more slowly to the energy of these rocks if I'm going to, to be here. Cause it was a lot. I don't know many other pet sitters that would have done that. They would have said, "Oh, I'm not taking this dog home."
I'm sure.
And
what a testimony to your strength that you were able to do something so difficult, and you knew how difficult it was, and you said it was traumatizing, and it took you some time to recover, but you would do it again. You know, and you knew that
hopefully
that was the right thing.
Dog. It was a very large dog, so it was not easy. But yeah, I would do it again. I absolutely would, if I knew, if I knew that if I had that intuition that was the right thing to do again. Absolutely, I would do it again. Yeah.
Just listening to you, it brings up such great points about where we are in humanity's development with animals and the veterinarian relationship with a psychic animal communicator, and how important that bridge really is. And if we do have a veterinarian listening, then good, they're in the right direction. Anyone that goes into animal care, whether it's grooming or going to school or veterinarian, they must have some form of empathy, like a doctor for humans. So they already are starting with the right things. But I think that the way the world is, it's designed so it, like you had said, it squeezes more of a science-based understanding.
Yes.
And you're bringing in the spiritual.
That happens.
Yeah.
There's a programming that happens, and I was susceptible to it as well when I was there. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but
Who is
definitely
that?
hear that.
Who is that?
Sprout. That's Sprout.
That's Sprout.
And snoring.
That's snoring. Oh, is that cute?
That's
Show
cute.
Sprout. Yes, please.
Hey, Sprout.
He's lying on his back.
Look at
paws
that.
Up in the air, snoring.
Giving energy, yeah.
I'm sorry, that is so stinking cute.
Oh, man.
Sometimes we have snoring competitions. It's fun. But yeah, so I think you're absolutely right. There, if you're going into work with animals, depending on what field you're in, it can dictate how your empathy either grows or gets
squashed,
by the programming. Because that veterinarian knew, and I knew that dog was not going to make it through the night. Yeah. So to pretend like we could do something about it was, I knew, and she knew that I knew.
Yeah.
And she said, sorry if I'm being pushy. And I said, that's okay. I can be pushy back. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, she's the expert. That. She's the top dog in her field, right? According to her.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Right.
So she knows
and
best.
She's doing what the science is telling her to do.
Yeah.
And if it was like he got hit by a car and he's a mess and he's in pain, that's a totally different situation. That would have been handled differently. But that was not the case.
It was all about comfort, like palliative care, right?
Yes.
Was that...
The dog really wasn't aware. Yeah.
Would you say that was the biggest learning experience that you've had as a pet psychic? Or were there other instances that were more, maybe not quite as dramatic, but a big learning experience for you?
I think definitely. I think it was definitely because, like, I've done readings where when you're done with the reading, you're done with the reading. There are plenty of readings where I'm like, oh gosh, okay, this applies to me too. This is so my dog and me. That happens where you can relate. But this one was like, this had nothing to do with me really, but it did. But it did actually have everything to do with me. And it wasn't something that I could just, when I was done, just leave it. This is going to be with me forever. And that, I believe, was a soul contract with me and the dog. And for whatever reason he chose me for, it will impact me for the rest of my life. There's a lot of readings that I've done that I just don't even remember anymore. Sometimes you forget what you said right away. When you're really in the zone and you're connecting with an animal, you don't even really know what you're saying sometimes because it's coming straight from them, straight as like a conduit.
So in a way, it's like a psychic reading with a person. I know Jason says that he often doesn't remember what he's said to clients. What would be the main difference between reading an animal and reading a person?
Animals are much more neutral. They're not judgmental, right? They just sort of give the information straight up as it is. It's much less emotional. I mean, in an animal reading, I'm also reading the human. The animal's telling me about the human. I'm also connected with the human. It's 3 ways. When you start reading with a human, you're getting all this emotion and all this energy. And for me, I've had a hard time with the more human side of their animal readings because of that. It's like it gets more intense and it becomes a little less clear for me. But when I'm directly communicating with the animal,
you can get straight to the core of it or the root of it. Whereas with a person, if they're emotional, it's kind of hard to figure out the root cause of what's going on.
And they can also have a very good sense of humor. I found myself laughing a lot of times. Just like, you really want me to say this?
Seriously? Can you share something funny? Can you share a funny story about?
Yeah.
Like an example of something funny a dog might say to you. I'd be really curious to know. I think we all would be curious to know.
What's coming to mind to me right now is like they get a kick out of how seriously we take ourselves.
Oh, really?
So they'll be like, look at her over there just taking this whole thing and, making this whole story about it when it's really not that complicated. And, and adding that sense of humor to it lightens it too, because we do take ourselves so seriously, a lot of us do. And animals really don't take us that seriously. They really want us to lighten up. So a lot of times it, when they were being funny, it was to lighten the mood because of how serious someone was feeling about something. I've seen a lot of like finger pointing, like look at her over there, like look at just like she's just like, look how serious she's taking herself right now. Like,
I got to say this is such a valuable service that you offer people. I just can't help but think there's a lot of people walking around with animals and they might not have any idea what the animal is teaching them or saying to them, or even why they're even in their life. Why that animal? Why did you not pick a different one? And some of these questions that can be answered through your psychic gift is really invaluable. I think it would really strengthen the bonds of the human and the animal relations. So this is really good stuff.
I just remembered a conversation I had with a friend not long ago. And he's wondering why his dog is so anxious when people are in the house and, he hears a noise outside and the dog gets so anxious, and the guy is so anxious. I mean, he runs on anxiety. That's his fuel. And I'm like, oh, your dog doesn't like it when people come in your house. And this man has also told me, like, I love it when my friends come to my house and we're all hanging out together, but now I want to go to my room. Like, I want to be in my room while all my friends are having fun in the living room. So he likes it, but he doesn't really like it. And then his dog also, people start showing up, he's going into the bedroom and he doesn't want to be seen. And then the guy's saying he feels like he wishes he could do that too. So it's like, I'm like, your dog is mirroring you. Like,
almost so like to show you what you're doing, like so that you're more aware of
exactly
it. Is that what it
doing.
Is?
Yes.
Oh, fascinating.
And so this man was so focused on his dog the dog hears a noise outside, the dog starts pacing. Now the man is focused on how to try to get the dog to stop pacing and how can I get my dog to calm down. I said, did you consider sitting in a chair and sitting quietly and taking some breaths? and, and instead of, my dog is anxious, what do I do about my anxious dog? Like, we'll just stop in the chair and take some breaths and connect with your dog and show him how to be calm. And because all you're doing is making him more anxious by you being anxious and trying to figure out the anxiety, and so he just looked at me like it was just a conversation. I mean, of course I was getting intuitive information from the dog while I was talking to him, but it wasn't like a setup reading. It was just a conversation, which actually I prefer, because then I can get the real life info, and I can also sort of get the intuitive info with the animal at the same time, and have like a conversation where there's not so much pressure for me to be getting all this information from the animal.
Yes, I can see that.
It certainly was coming in. I mean, his face was blank. He's just looking at me like, oh my God, you're right. And I don't know if he made any improvements on that or not, but I just was like, it's he wants you to take care of your anxiety. And if you do that, then he will be much calmer, So I don't know if anything, I don't know what happens. I haven't talked to this person in a while, but I mean, it was very obvious to me that that the dog was mirroring him and showing him.
So it's almost like the animals, like you said, is a mirror. So it's definitely communicating with the person to show them something that they should work on or change.
Yes,
that's a really
absolutely
powerful thing right there.
They mirror, they model. So sometimes they're modeling a behavior. I have one dog who is always snoring and lazy in the best way. That's what he was bred for. It's not his fault. He loves food. And then I have a miniature poodle who is full of energy, and he is like, "Come on, let's go," And I can have days where I don't feel like it, but I'll look at him, and then now we come back into the guilt piece. If I don't do it, then I feel guilty. But he's really trying to get me out. Like, come on, Mom, let's go, let's go, let's go. And so then we go out, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm out here. It's such a beautiful day for a walk. And so it's all connected, and it's all intertwined, and we just have to listen to, like, watch them and listen to them, and if they're acting exactly like us, they're wanting us to work on ourselves in that way. If they're doing something completely opposite of what we were doing, they want us to do what they're showing us. They're modeling a behavior that they want us to do.
Well, what I think is kind of interesting about the story with the guy that had the anxious dog, and he was an anxious person too, is that, a person might be very open to you reading about their dog or their pet, but when you're looking at them, like, there's something about them that they need to work on. Whoa, I mean, I think that that's probably shocking to some people, right? Like, they're not expecting to have any kind of psychic or intuitive interaction with you personally. It's really all about the dog. It's my dog. It has nothing to do with me.
Yep.
I would think that would be very typical with people.
Yes, and that's the only way I'll do it. So if you don't want that, don't talk to me.
Because that's what it's all about, right?
Because that's just the way it's going to go. Because it's what I know to be true.
So, Crista, I know that you're not really doing animal communication as a service right now. It's just something that you do naturally, right?
Yeah.
Can you walk us through what a reading would look like? If someone would go to you for a reading, what actually happens? I'd be really curious.
Ever since I was a little kid, I was like pet psychic. I don't know if anybody remembers her on TV. She was awesome. I loved her so much, and I wanted to be like that. So when I started my spiritual awakening, I found a teacher who actually taught how to connect with the animals and how to form a reading, right? So it has some sort of form to it, and you're not just going all over the place. And luckily, I found the woman who was talking about how animals are our teachers, and how all of what they do is directly connected to us, and they choose us. They choose when they die. They choose how they die. They are not scared of death, and they're still with us after they die as well, of course. So a reading, the format or the formula that I learned, the less information I know about the person and the animal, the better. I mean, I want to know nothing. Even throughout the reading, I want to just know if what I'm saying makes sense or not to you. Do you understand what I'm saying or not? Don't tell me yes because or no because. Just say yes or no. So I would get on the call and take a few deep breaths and center myself and sort of ask the animal to come in and introduce myself and explain what I'm doing here. The animal already knows. And I would just say, start telling me something about your personality. Just tell me something about yourself. And the information can come through as hearing things. I'm seeing things in my mind's eye. Sometimes it's a knowing. It's just kind of like, usually the knowing comes with a little more information first. And then you're sort of, all of a sudden I know this thing. And I'm just saying it. And does that make sense? And they're like, yes. Yes, it makes sense. Now, for me, for whatever reason, my least strong is the feeling in my body, which is also something for me that I've had to work on. So that is why that's harder for me. But, maybe feeling an ache or a pain or something like that, where the animal is saying, my left foot really hurts. And I'm trying to explain this to the owner, or my back, it's right here on my back is where it hurts, or I'm having a stomach problem or whatever it is. So the animals will normally give that to me, and in the hearing or the mind's eye rather than the feeling, because it's a little bit harder for me. So get a little personality info from the animal, and then ask, is there anything I should know about your human? They would say a little something, and then allow the person to ask a question. What can you tell me about this? What would you like us to know about this specific question? And then so that's the first part of the reading, and then the second part is like the soul lesson. That goes deeper into, and it's always incredible how the energy shifted when you start going into the soul lesson. It's like, now I'm talking to an all-knowing being.
That is so
and
cool.
it's so beautiful and so intense and so so loving, so understanding, so unconditional. So that's where we learn exactly what behavior the animal is using to teach their person their lesson, what they can do with the animal to learn, to work on the lesson. And
that's really powerful, because you were just said earlier that animals are tapped into spirit, like constantly, 24/7, because they don't have an ego. And so getting a message from spirit through an animal is like easy peasy, because there's no emotions, there's no judgments, and all that sort of stuff.
So the first part of the reading is basically to sort of validate that I'm connected to your pet, because now I'm talking about their personality and the funny things they do or whatever, and what your pet knows about you also. So now the pet will give information about the person, and they're like, yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. Yep, that's me. And so that part is sort of the validating that we're all connected. We understand we're doing this, and we're here. But the point of the reading really is to get to what behavior is this person concerned about, so the person gets to ask a question, but when we ask the pet, what behavior are you using to work on the lesson with your human, the animal will tell you the behavior.
Wow.
So it's not necessarily, I want to know why my dog is doing this, tell me why. Or the animal is going to have it go whatever way it knows it needs to go. So I don't have control of that, and neither does the human.
Wow.
The animal does what they know the human needs.
Crista, what piece of advice do you have for pet owners, given your wisdom, having communicated with animals all these years? What is one thing that you want people to know?
That's a good question.
No, I mean, it's emotional. I'm getting a little emotional because they are lines with unconditional love. They are here as our teachers, not our servants. And they are here to serve us. Yes. They want us to stop beating ourselves up as much. They want us to love ourselves, and they know exactly what lessons we're here to learn. And they are so neutral. Okay. They may not act like it sometimes, but that's because they're living in a human world, right? And so they're
responding to our bullshit.
Showing, yes, and they're showing emotions so that so that we can understand them and what they're doing. Because if they were just neutral, we wouldn't have any lessons, right? So they have to act up in certain ways, but that is all on purpose. That is all to get us to have some sort of awakening or awareness about ourselves. Even this morning, Banjo, my miniature poodle, I said, I feel like you're being a little naughty. What are you doing? And I was on the phone with a friend. He said, you feel like your dog is doing something naughty? And I said, yeah, I can feel it. And I said, what are you doing? I could feel it from the other room. And so I went and I checked on him. He's got a little ketchup packet in his mouth, and I'm like, yeah, I could feel it. I didn't know. And he doesn't understand it either. So yeah, so you felt that? So yeah, I felt that.
It's hard to explain feeling, and hearing and knowing intuition to people who don't have it, right? It's really hard to explain.
Well, it also shows
it's hard to explain.
Well, you can't get anything past the psychic or the wise one that has the gift, even if you're in the other room doing something. It's like, I feel that. So.
I may not say anything. I probably won't because I'm an observer.
Right.
But what I also absolutely love and adore is meeting people who don't understand that they have the gift as well. You don't have to be a full-on empath or anything. You could just be intuitive and knowing. I mean, or is it all the same? I don't know. Whatever, labels are labels. But so many people are intuitive more than they even realize. And so to meet someone or a group of people who don't understand it, or don't know anything about it. You can still
listen to him snoring.
He's on his side a little bit now, but yeah.
So your advice to people would be to love themselves more, right? And also to trust their own intuition about their pet, because some people are more intuitive than they give themselves credit for.
Yes. And I think your dog isn't being annoying just to be annoying. They're doing
There's
it
a
to
message.
get you to pay attention to something. There's a message. And I mean, even if you go to a dog trainer, they're all going to tell you that too. So if you have a dog that's doing some behavior, it's not because they're just being, a butthead. They're trying to get a message to you. And even if you didn't go to a psychic and you went to a dog trainer, you would learn a lot about yourself. And so either way, however you approach how you figure out the problem, you're going to learn about yourself, and that's the point of the animals.
So know thy dog, know thyself.
Yes.
Or pet.
Yes. Know thy pet. Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh, it's not even just our pets though. I mean, every animal in the world is teaching us.
Well, that's a great segue to my next question, which is, if there were one animal over the earth that you could read or have an interaction with, what animal would that be?
Oh, you mean besides what I've already done?
Like, I mean,
gosh, I would love to talk to an elephant.
Oh my God,
wow. Elephants. Yeah.
Wow.
Elephants are amazing. They're so wise. They have empathy. I mean, that's been proven in their brains that they have empathy, and they have self-awareness, and they have memories, and they have funerals, for their lost ones. I mean, it's very human-like. Also, it would be so interesting to talk to like a tiger, a predator who is just by themselves. They don't have a pack. The only time they're with others is when they're raising babies or mating. And so an animal that lives in the wild, that would be so interesting. I've went on an animal communication retreat in Costa Rica, and we went on a whale watch, and the guy warned us, like, it's not really whale season. I would be very surprised if we saw any whales today, guys. Just let you know. Well, we called the whales in. The whales came in, and we told them, we're animal communicators. So he saw us do our meditation. There was about 30 people. He saw us call the whales in, and the whales came, and he goes, "Oh, you guys are animal communicators for real, huh?" He was like, "Whoa!"
Wow.
Like, he was not expecting it. And then all the other boats started coming, because the boats, the whales were around our boat.
Wow.
They were going underneath it. They were going all around it, and then all the boats were like, "Oh my God, look, there's a whale!"
How thrilling!
So they all started coming towards us. You get warned that you're not going to see any whales, and then all the whales come, and then the guy, the leader, that is doing this every single day, is in shock. So it was beautiful.
Well, it just shows.
And we saw there was a baby. Yeah.
Well, it shows with that kind of situation. It shows the evidence to the actual gift. I mean, when you step back and you look at that experience, it's showing the world, specifically that guy, that this is real. And there's a phenomena. There's a situation here. And I love hearing this, because this gives me hope as we go forward into the future, that the world is now expanding. I mean, you had 30 people on that trip, which says a lot as well, that, we're entering a new world. So I love this enlightenment about the animals. It's really, really great.
Yes. And that's where I met one person from our empath group. And I said, this person needs to join this group. I just knew it about her. And so I told her about it. And that trip was in 2021, I think.
Yeah.
I know.
That's amazing.
She's still here.
And now her been coming every week
for
4 years now. Her daughter too. And it seems like the people who've been with us for the past, I would say, 3 years have really stuck it out. And, we meet every single week without fail. And, it is like a family, and we do learn from each other. And I love hearing the stories.
And I want to add too, that whoever's listening, finding out about Crista's gift, in this little family we have, there's multiple people with different gifts. So it makes it rich for when somebody new comes in and they might be struggling with a situation, a scenario. There's so many of us that shed light and wisdom, that when you leave, you feel whole. You feel like you gain a solution or some kind of insight. So anybody out there listening to this that is interested in meeting Crista or others like us to gain support, reach out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I see my own growth, but it's like so heartwarming to see other people's growth too. It's just so beautiful to see someone who's been struggling with the same pattern just break that pattern and see the benefit of breaking those patterns. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so heartwarming.
Well, it's funny, and it speaks to the group of us. You come to the group, you first enter the empath support group because you need support. You want to be around other people who are empaths, and you want to learn, you want to grow. But what ends up happening after you've been doing it for a while, the enjoyment comes out of helping other people. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I think as empaths, our deepest desire is to help others, whether it's an animal or a human, or just nature itself. And I know for me, I find the most joy out of being in that position of helping too. So it's like, once you get past the know thyself and all the struggles that you have, and you've reached a place where, whoa, I feel good. I've learned boundaries. I've learned about myself, and I'm loving myself more every day. You come to a place where your joy comes from sharing it with others and spreading that. And I think that's the beauty of the group. And I think that's where we're at right now. The people that have been coming so long, we really love when a new person comes in and helping them out in any way we can. So Crista, you're always there for others. You're the first one to speak out up when someone is struggling with something. And, that's the most remarkable thing about you. And it's like you are, right? You're a support group leader too.
Well, and I also struggle. I could give somebody the best advice ever, and then it comes down to doing it myself, and it is hard sometimes. It is very hard. Even this week, I broke a pattern for myself. I had a trigger. I wanted to act the same way I would have used to act, and I said, no, I am not doing that. I am not doing that. I am going to give the situation space and let this go. And by morning, it was a nothing. Where it could have turned into a something. It could have turned into a something.
Well, I think that's what makes you a great leader too, because not only are you willing to help, but you're also very willing to be vulnerable and admit when you feel like you've, taken a step back or, quote unquote, made mistakes. And the thing about it is the whole spiritual journey is a work in progress. None of us reach a state of enlightenment in this third dimension and know it all and are perfect,
No.
I mean,
No, absolutely not.
right? Plenty of times I'll go to a meeting or Jason will go to a meeting more frequently than me, feeling a certain way, right, Jay?
Yeah, I gotta admit.
just feeling kind of, like you didn't do a good job with your boundaries, or you had too much output, your aura is low, or you're having an emotional reaction to another person. All the things that we say don't do. We fall into patterns all the time ourselves, but the key is that we catch it and we realize what we did and we just keep going forward and don't beat ourselves up over it, because life isn't easy, especially when you're super sensitive.
Yeah. Sometimes that the self-awareness when it comes in can be painful, because you see yourself and you're like, oh, and you're like, wow, okay, yep, I see that. And then now you're seeing that pattern everywhere. You've been seeing, now you see it's been there for years. And it can be, you can have a couple weeks of owie.
Yeah.
But the more awareness we have, the more choices we have. Now you have a choice because you have this awareness now.
Good point.
You could choose something different. When you don't have the awareness, there's no choice, because it's all the subconscious just doing what the subconscious does. And so the more of that we can bring into our awareness, then yeah, it hurts. It hurts. It can cause some downtime or whatever you want to call it. Everyone handles it differently, I'm sure. But with more awareness is more choice, and hopefully more self-compassion.
Love it.
So,
Crista, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us.
I'm so excited. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I love you guys so much.
Love you too.
And thanks for being my family. And literally could tell you guys anything, and there's going to be no judgment, and it's just the most beautiful thing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Crista.
And it's going to continue
always.
Forever and
throughout
always.
Lifetimes. This is why we do what we do.
This is our first run around.
All these times are leading up to a new world where we're definitely going to witness the transformation, and more people are going to become empathic. More and more people are going to be tuning into their psychic abilities and their intuition. And in the new world, when you walk into the veterinarian clinic, he's going to say, well, wait, before you see me, bring them into that office. Talk to Crista. She's going to give me a report psychically, and then I'll give you the physical stats.
Right?
Yes. I'd love to see that happen. I think that sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd be down for that.
All right, everybody.
Cool.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you, Crista.
Thanks for listening and watching Psychic Talk with Jay and Sarah. We look forward to seeing you next time.